900 years ago. From the beaches of Northumberland, Durham and the Firth of Forth, sea coal was gathered. The seams outcropped on the sea's edge, and lumps of coal were washed ashore like any other rock. Coal was gathered for the monks to use in their workshops. And for 150 years after the Norman conquest, we know no more of its history. Then, from the great monasteries and abbeys of the northeast, news of coal was carried by pilgrims traveling from one part of the country to another. By 1270, coastal ships had started to bear the new fuel from Tyneside to as far south as London. Where the coal lay near the surface, they dug trenches to get it. And then coal mining developed. Two kinds of mine were used. One was sunk into an outcrop of coal from the surface. It was known as a bell pit because of its shape. The other was a drift mine, driven into the hillside or river bank where the coal seam emerged. The bell pits were sunk where the seam lay only a few yards below the surface. One man, a pitman as he was already called, would dig out the coal with a helper, usually his wife, to fetch and carry. The pits were crude with no supports. As much coal as possible was hewn before the sides threatened to cave in. The pit would then be abandoned and another started nearby. One of the ancient laws of the Forest of Dean had fixed that a second pit should be at a distance to which a miner could throw a shovel full of rubbish from the pit he had worked out. In the drift mines, 2 or 3 miners won the coal, while boys or women dragged it to the entrance. Then the need for coal increased. By the 14th century, artisans were using it extensively in their workshops, and in 1367 it was allowed to be exported to Calais. So these hillside workings were often extended deeper. The coal was easy to get as only the best and the thickest seams were worked. They were threatened by only 2 dangers: water and stale air. Stale air, choke damp which could suffocate and kill. The only sign of its presence was the slowly dimming candle. If seen in time, it could be dispersed by fanning the air, which the miner would do with his jacket or any piece of cloth kept handy for the purpose. Then water, a problem that was to remain with coal mining for the next 600 years. Steadily and constantly it seeped down from the surface into the coal faces, and at times threatened to make them unworkable.